Hey guys, so I am finally able to talk about A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. If you haven't read the first book, if you haven't read this book, please stay clear of this video because I'm going to go into details. I just need to talk about this book. There's so much. I'm so glad it was so long. Like, it's a book that I could really get into and I stayed into, and I think it took me a week and a half or so to read. Like, I did take my time with it. So we start off 3 months after the Under the Mountain. Feyre is engaged to Tamlin, but it's not all what you would really expect. Their relationship isn't going that well. Tamlin is super protective, so he doesn't really let Feyre go and do her own thing. He barely lets her go to the village. He's just not letting her really live her life, and Feyre's looking into the future with dread. She sees herself as Tamlin's wife, just aware of pretty dresses and a socialite, and it's not the person that she wants to be. What I absolutely love that Sarah J. Maas did is she didn't glaze over the fact that Feyre did something horrible in the ending of the final book by killing 2 innocent people. And I think it was really important that that stuck with Feyre because it was way more realistic. I mean, I don't think the average person, if they had gone through something as traumatic as that, would have in the next book just been fine with it. But so many times we see that with the books that we read. We just see the characters getting over the fact that they've killed people and it's really no big deal. And I love how human Feyre is, and I love that it completely destroys her. So she's suffering from severe PTSD. Like, she wakes up every night from nightmares, she's vomiting, and Tamlin and her don't even talk about this. Tamlin knows that she gets up, he knows that she's going to the bathroom to puke her guts out, and he doesn't even do anything. It's just the most bizarre. So we already know the relationship is on the rocks, and Rhysand hasn't called in his bargain, which of course he was gonna call it in during the wedding. Rhysand is there and he takes her away, and that is for me when I think the book begins, when Feyre makes the decision that she is not going to be returning to the Spring Court. It just totally changed the entire game. Like, she starts exploring her powers. She's something that is completely other, something that can be an equivalent to Rhysand and his court, which, talking about Rhysand and his court, I absolutely love how they all accepted her, and especially Rhysand was like, you're not going to be some pawn in this game. Like, I want you to use your power. I want you to be an equal member of this team. Like, you can make a difference. And I love that he sees that in her, and I love that he calls her to it, and he doesn't want her to stay at home and be protected. I'm gonna get way ahead of myself. I can already tell that I'm going in places I don't want to go right yet. The first task that Feyre does is getting the ring back from the Weaver, which I just have to say Sarah J. Maas does such a good job with creating these quests within the bigger scope of questing, like the bigger adventure. And I love how this first test, like, honestly, like, my heart is pumping. Like, as we hear the Weaver stop spinning the thread, I just, like, you feel like Feyre, like your heart is pounding and you're freaking out. You don't know where she's gonna go. Like, it was all of the writing, all of those intense scenes were done so well. I just felt completely in the moment. I felt like I was Feyre. I was afraid for her. I didn't know what she was gonna do. In this story, they're trying to get the cauldron. They want to break its power because the King Hybern is using it to make this army, and they're going to pretty much destroy everything and break down the wall and just kill everybody, and it's going to be a huge war and a huge mess. So they want to get this book that will undo the cauldron, that will, escalate those events. So first thing, finding the book, I want to just say I love the summer court. When they went to the summer court, I want to be in the summer court. Like, it's summertime right now, so I'm just really feeling the summer court. And I really love, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Tarquin. I'm just gonna say Tarquin. What I really loved about him was that he shared the same ideals as Rhysand and his court. Like, he dreams of equality, and he gets laughed at by his people, but I just know there's something there. I feel like there will be some reconciliation with the summer court. Like, I know they have to play a role. Like, it's too good of a character and too good of a court, I think, to not play a wonderful role in the next book. At least I'm hoping so. Like, I just feel like they may come in at a final moment, be some great allies. I have high hopes for the summer court. One thing I also really appreciated was when they're getting this first half of the book, it is so much power. Like, they cannot even really fathom the type of power that this book holds. So everything you're thinking is about magic and power, and the one thing that saves them actually was Feyre's kindness, and that really comes back into play. It's the water wraiths who save her because of a kindness that Feyre showed to one of the water wraiths. Is that what they're called? Water wraiths? That's just sounding right in my head. But I just really appreciate how Feyre's goodness and kindness is showing to have as equal power as the magic. So about the second half of the book, this part, so frustrating because the mortal queens just don't really care. Like, they don't see that there's actually a threat. Like, they annoyed me to no end, and the fact that they just had to think about it and they didn't trust Feyre and Rhysand, which I understand. Like, from if I was them, I kind of get it, but knowing they're just so ignorant, and it just really drove me mad because the queens were acting so rationally, and it's like, just give them the stupid book, make your lives easier. Now it's time to talk about the relationship between Feyre and Rhysand, which I could just do a whole video straight on their relationship because it is something entirely different. So it starts off a very intense, heavy flirting, and although you know that Feyre is enjoying it, you can tell that Rhysand's enjoying it, Feyre starts hinting that maybe it's just more of a distraction. It didn't make sense to me that Rhysand will be so captivated by Feyre. Like, I'm like, there has to be something there. Like, there has to be a reason why he would go to such lengths to make her a part of his court and to make that bargain with her. Like, what was in it for him? And then I had this suspicion that Rhysand was mated to Feyre, especially at the final scene when Rhysand just disappears with this look of horror and surprise on his face. I kind of knew it right then. Chapter 54, was it? It felt like the chapter in Harry Potter where we learned that Snape was good all along. This is like the chapter for this book. Like, it was by far my favorite chapter when Rhysand just, and like, there's so much detail that went into this chapter that tied in with the first book and the second book, with everything Rhysand does being this selfless gesture of love to Feyre. He dreamed of Feyre 3 years ago, and okay, did anyone else in the first book think it was strange that she drew the night sky and painted the night sky in her dresser? It was a detail that I honestly forgot about in this book. She wasn't dreaming about Rhysand, but somehow there was still a connection between them, and Feyre was his only hope when he was under the mountain, and just like, it was just so beautifully done, that whole entire chapter. There's just so many things that we never would have picked up on. Like, when he first saw Feyre, he said, "There you are, I've been looking for you," and we didn't really like take it really to heart, I think. But for Rhysand, this was the first time that he saw Feyre, the girl he had been dreaming about, and it was like he had been looking for her, and oh, it is just so many emotions. And then we learned that it was Rhysand who kept her alive when Feyre died, and it was him who planted the idea to use all of the Seven Lords' powers to bring her back to life. I can't even make a sentence. That's how overwhelming that chapter was for me. And what's possibly the most heartbreaking about that whole scene when she comes back to life is that Rhysand knows she's in love with Tamlin, and Feyre did everything at the end of the first book for Tamlin and for her love for him, and Rhysand knows that, but he loves her so much, and he is so self-sacrificial that he brings her to life anyway, because he can't imagine a world without her in it, even if she's off loving another man, even if she hates him, even if she never wants to speak to him again. I need to talk about the whole final scene now, the final quest, getting the cauldron and undoing its power. I did not see Tamlin being one to turn them in. I did not see that coming. Like, when Tamlin and Lucien walked in, I was honestly so shocked. I knew that Tamlin was going to be deranged by his love for Feyre, but I didn't really think it was going to be that big of a deal. But to learn that he is so desperately in love with Feyre still that he made this bargain with the most evil king, it's just mind-blowing that he could be so like small-minded. And I was getting really nervous at the end of the book because we hear, you know, the king say he's breaking their mating bond, and Feyre is describing this silence, but then we learned, twist at the end, that they actually made it really official the night before, her and Rhysand, and that the king didn't break their mating bond, which is so much deeper and so much more powerful. He just broke their bargain bond. I was going to be leaving the story thinking, well, I'm going to just be really sad now until the next book comes out, but I just feel encouraged, and to know that yes, Feyre is going to the spring court and she's going to be away from Rhysand, but also she is now the high lady of the night court, and she and Rhysand are in a team together. This video is already so long and I haven't even talked about side characters yet, so quickly going into it. Amren, I want to know more about Amren so much. Like, I want to know her past. I want to know why she was in prison for all those years. I want to know what world she's come from, and also I'm wondering if she does unleash all this power from the cauldron, if she will return to the world that she came from. I don't know, but she is so fascinating to me. I want to know more about her. I want to just read chapters and chapters about her past. As for more Cassian Azriel, if that's how they're pronounced, I really did love the characters. I think they added a really great dynamic personality to the group, because you have the silent and brooding Azriel, you have the violent and hysterical Cassian, and then you have like the independent woman more, and then you just have weird Amryn just over there in the corner. You could easily see them together, like you could easily see their relationships and their bond and how they could stay together for so many years. I think I've rambled on enough about A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Please discuss everything you want to discuss with me in the comments. I would be more than happy to do so. If you don't like any of my opinions, please let me know. I'd love to hear yours. I just need to talk to people who have read this book. You know what I mean? So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and happy reading.